motherhood is an incredibly important facet of that. And you want to help out the mother next to you. You see her in the grocery store struggling and you want to reach out. And now I think we're a little more afraid to do that. But when you can come together over a podcast, or you can read an article, or, listen to the show, it's like you're getting that communal hug that you couldn't necessarily get in the real world. I mean, that is important, especially as we change with AI and everything else.
Let's ditch the quick fix and dive into today's conversation.
All right, welcome everybody. My guest today is Liz Carlile, and we're going to have a conversation about mothers trying to be unstressed. So Liz is the host of the Motherhood Unstressed podcast. Through the show, Liz converses with brilliant minds to empower and uplift her audience of women all over the world to live with less stress and more purpose and joy. Liz's interest in the importance of non-negotiable self-care for mothers is informed by personal experiences. She is the mother of 2 boys, and through her own difficulty navigating the waters of new motherhood, found a way to not only survive, but thrive. So welcome, Liz. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Ernst. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to talk about this. Parenting is a challenge which does bring a lot of joy, but it can bring a lot of stress. So share a little bit of your personal journey and where you're at in parenting, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my entry into motherhood was really the beginning of my life. Once that happened, I was like, okay, this is really what it means to be alive and present and alert and scared all at the same time. And so I guess going back to 2012 is a good place to start. That's when my firstborn came into this world. And I was, the typical type A mother, read all the books, did all the prep, had, doula, natural water birth, all of the things. And then it was in those early weeks kick in and you're like, I really know nothing, and you're just really trying to keep that infant alive and not crying for 4-hour stretches. But it really rocked me. And it was that first real shake in my adulthood that kind of woke me up to how tough was I, how resilient was I really? And kind of set me on a path of trying to figure out what I had to do, because I didn't want to feel like I was surviving all the time. I didn't want to feel like I was scared. That wasn't how I grew up. My dad was in the Marine Corps. We moved all over. We were highly adaptable kids. And then all of a sudden I was being forced to really look at, well, how adaptable are you? And so I think I'm grateful for that crucible, because it really set me on a path of, like I said, non-negotiable self-care, including journaling and working out, taking the time that I needed to feel whole so that I could come into the room and be there with my infant and not feel like, I couldn't handle it. And so it was years later when my second was born, where I started to dip my toe into mommy blogging and I started my own podcast, Motherhood Unstressed. And it was there that I kind of explored everything that I'd been feeling, but with experts, talking about all of the things that everyone out there in the world as parents experiences, all the fear, all the, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I being enough? Am I doing enough? And putting it out there as a way for me to kind of heal and go through a cathartic process, but to also connect with other moms, because I knew that I couldn't be alone. We don't have that many unique experiences in this life. So it was just an amazing full circle moment when I started to have feedback from moms all over the world about their own journeys, especially as my kids got older. They're 7 and almost 10 now. But, for the moms who are just now having babies, who are listening, who are doing the meditations that we have, who are reading the articles, who are listening to the guests, it's like, yeah, like I'm supposed to be doing this. This is important work. And, we're all in this together. As cliche as that sounds, it's true. Like we're all trying to not go crazy and to get through the day and to have fun while we're doing it. Like why else would we be here but to enjoy nature and our kids and life and feel alive while we're here.
That's awesome. You have the experience. Mothers have the very, very unique experience of carrying a baby in the womb. And then you have birth. And like you said, you did all the books, you did all the study, you got ready. But there's nothing like experience, right? There's nothing like that massive amount of sensory input coming your way once the baby's born, and you're hearing every movement and every sound, and you're processing and you're thinking and you're going, oh my goodness.
And you're tired. It's like you want to be on the floor in a pit too, because you're just exhausted from every cell in your body is just screaming out like, what is happening? What is going on?
Yeah. So what a journey that starts right as well, conception, but again, at birth, there's a whole new part of that journey. So, and I love, the idea of, like you said, it's a little bit of a cliche, but we definitely are all in it together. And it just is it's wise to communicate with others that are going down the same road. Moms all over the place are going down the same road, and historically. So I think that's just a wise thing that just jumped right into and opened up to.
Well, I think that's how we all are as humans. We're communal by nature. It's in our DNA to want to help each other out so that we survive, so that we can continue to carry on and pass on our genes. And it's like motherhood is an incredibly important facet of that. And you want to help out the mother next to you. You see her in the grocery store struggling, and you want to reach out. And now I think we're a little more afraid to do that, but when you can come together over a podcast, or you can read an article, or listen to the show, it's like you're getting that communal hug that you couldn't necessarily get in the real world. I mean, that is important, especially as we change with AI and everything else.
Totally true. So what are some of the, when you think of the historical barriers of trying to take care of yourself when you're supposed to be taking care of your children only? What's the barriers that, kind of are in play that really aren't real?
I mean, the first thing that pops in my head when you ask that question is the mom guilt. It's there from the minute that we learn that we're pregnant. Am I having too much caffeine? Should I be eating this? Should I not be going for a walk? Should I not be doing, this particular workout? Like, we're always thinking about what is best for this person inside of me. I want them to be healthy and strong and healthy and happy. And what am I doing that could hurt that? And I'm a bad person for even allowing that to happen. And, I understand the thinking, we want to produce happy, healthy kids, but at the same time, it can get perversed into where we're actually suffering. And when that happens, nobody is benefiting. And that was one of the biggest things. I did a TED Talk in 2019, and that was at the crux of the speech was, we have to take care. We have to make self-care the priority in our lives, not just for our own sanity and our own happiness, but for the children that we're set to protect and set to mold. I mean, they're watching everything that we do. And so if we're not taking the time to really nurture ourselves because we feel guilty about it, or we feel that, our parents or in-laws might judge us, or, a friend down the street or someone on Instagram, then it's really, you're really only hurting your children and your relationships. And we have to, I love that we're having this conversation because we're bringing in the awareness so that when that does crop up, that little nagging voice, you can shoot it down. It's just a thought. This is just a nagging thought. I'm going to do what I need to do to be happy.
Well, and I suppose that, I don't know, in your experience, if you ran into, the thought line that, hey, one, it's really important to consider taking care of yourself because that's how you can ultimately take better care of your children. But you run into that other phase of that you're being too selfish taking care of yourself, right? And or some that, may not see or have the natural instincts of taking better care of themselves. That could be a stressor for a mom too, right? When you're sharing, hey, this is really important for you to take care of yourself so you can take care of your children. Then you go, oh, that's not my forte to begin with necessarily.
That's so true. That's an important thing that I think a lot of people don't touch on too. It's like, if you've never had the practices established to nurture yourself, to journal, to work out, which, should be part of your every single day as a human being with a body. But if you've never had that into your routine, it's going to be immensely more difficult to put that into practice, especially when you've got all the added responsibilities of this little human who's depending on you. But I think, especially if you're having a rough go, and who isn't when they're a new mom, it's going to pull you out of the postpartum blues, or, if you do have postpartum depression, it's going to be a key factor in getting you, along with medication, if you feel like you need it, to that place where you feel like, okay, I know I'm not perfect, but I'm a good mom and I'm doing what I need to do. Like, it's another very important tool that even if you've never had it as part of your natural being, you can add it in, and it can be something that can drastically change your life experience and make it better.
Absolutely. And I think one of the flavors of, our conversation and what you've experienced is, it's a journey, and the journey's okay to take the way that you take it. but try to get some of that good input from other people's and try to employ some of that. Don't try to just throw it all in at once, right?
Yeah. And I think, the key to life is that we're constantly evolving. We're constantly turning into new, better, sometimes worse versions of ourselves, but it is a journey of learning and evolution and spiritual, mental, physical, all of it. And so if you can reach out, even if it's not, to someone that you know in person, but to reach out to learn different things, to take on, different parts of your day, things that could help you, then why not? Why not try it? Because, what's the alternative? Staying the same, or getting worse. So, if there's hope in all of us, I think, especially in the darker moments. And so if you're tuning in and wondering, how you can bring more balance, that's a way. And to start small and to take it step by step, and you'll be amazed, how fast you can change and how fast things can get better. Like, we're talking days, it's that transformative, just taking care of yourself.
So that leads to one of the next questions, could be many, but one of the next questions would be, what are some of the strategies that you're,
Yes.
implying?
Yeah, I think, it's going to be the common ones, but I think they're common because they really work. Journaling, writing something down, not a notes in your phone or anything like that, but actually getting a blank page and writing down, 3 minutes in the morning. Julie Cameron talks about morning pages and how magical they are. And it's true, because when you wake up in the morning and you're putting pen to page, you're unloading everything that's on your shoulders, and you're alleviating your brain. And they've done studies on this, of all of the extra baggage that it's working on behind the scenes. So when you get that out of you, wow, like you're there, you're present, you're actually able to be with the people you love, and you have everything, that was running in the back of your mind out of you. It's downloaded onto another page where you don't have to worry about it. You don't even have to think about it. It's there. You've dealt with it. You've massaged all the issues out, and then you can move on. And it's like, wow, that practice alone for me was a complete game changer. And I've always been into working out and eating right and all of that. That's always important. But those morning pages, like try it for 30 days
It's
and
kind
see
of
what it does.
Yeah, I jump in there and then have you carry on with a couple other strategies. I've done that a little bit. I used to call it mental gymnastics in the middle of the night, kind of thing. And with parenting, that's one of them, right? And I found sometimes that when I got something on my mind, and it may be directed towards somebody, not just my own little world, but towards somebody, if I just write it out,
Yeah.
and I most of the time won't send it to anybody, but it is cathartic. And
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's like you've dealt with it. So when people would tell me about journaling, I would say, well, I don't get it. But now I'm starting to get it. It's taken me a lot of years, but I'm starting to get it, because it is what you're sharing. It kind of helps you say, hey, I've kind of processed that. I'm moving on. I've got it down on paper, and I could always reflect to that at some point to see where I was and grow from it.
Well, and the amazing thing is, you might start writing and it'll be like 3 pages later, and you're writing things that you didn't even know were weighing on you. Something someone said 2 weeks ago are being expressed in different happenings in your life right now because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's manifesting in different ways. And it's like, wow, like because of that, because I never dealt with that, it's always been sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
All of this other stuff has come out of it. So it really is like taking out the trash, for your mind every single day. You got to take out the trash. You don't just want it building up, because it can cause a lot of negative stuff to happen. And you're like, why is all this happening to me? Well, find out, come to know yourself in the morning, if
Mm-hmm.
possible.
That's awesome. So what are a couple other strategies? You kind of touched a little bit about exercise, nutrition, and those are all good strategies.
Yeah, so definitely do your morning pages first. But then I also am a huge advocate of meditation. We do meditations on the show. But I think that if you meditate before you do the morning pages, you're not going to have much to write, because you're going to be like, well, everything's fine. It's really not that bad. So do your morning pages first. But then take a few minutes to sit in silence and just breathe and come home. I find that when I do that, especially the combination of the two, I am so much of a better mom. I'm not reactive. If a kid starts freaking out, having a tantrum because they're tired at 6:30 in the morning and they don't want to go to school and they can't find their shoes, like, the mom that shows up who's done the morning pages and has meditated is a drastically different mom than if I just jumped out of bed, brushed my teeth, and ran downstairs because we were running late. So taking 20 to 30 minutes to do just those two things,
Yeah.
showing up, you show up for your kids in a completely different way. And then that changes their day and how they interact with their friends and their teacher, and even how well they learn at school. And I know if you're listening to this, you're like, oh, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot on me. But at the same time, like, just to realize that there is a different way. There's a different way to live and be as a mom. We don't have to be like the quintessential stressed out mom grabbing the wine at 5 p.m. when you get home from work, or if you've been at home all day with the kid. Like, that's one way that's shoved down our throats, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's such an important thing. For me personally, that's the morning is my thing. It's my Bible time. It's my exercise. It's my, kind of get myself together. It's my cold plunge, all those kind of things that say, okay, let's.
I know it's good for you, but it's hard.
Well, and I've been surprised too, because I'm pretty new to it. And we're talking about this kind of emotional well-being for moms. And, anything you can do to kind of set yourself up for just enjoying the day. Like, I love that you say, hey, it's about purpose and joy. And purpose is really important, but that has some stress attached to it. And joy is what really, gives life, and so I love that strategy you're integrating it into, hey, start your day out this way for a while and just see how you do. And that's really been a beneficial thing for me. And I'm not a stressed out mom.
Right. But even just, as a dad, as a grandfather, being present and really hearing, especially as young kids, like, they come up to you, they want to share a story, and they know if you're really listening, they know if you're really there, engaged.
Absolutely.
Even if you're saying all the same things, they can feel the energy. And so when you take the time to heighten your energy by reading the Bible or doing your study, and that's another thing, is faith is a huge part of resiliency. And so no matter what your religion is, that's a big part too. If you're looking to up-level your life and be more present with your kids, that's a huge component as well.
We got a little bit on nutrition. What do you try to share with moms on not only nutrition for themselves, but most importantly, that's what we're talking about. We're trying to help moms take better care of themselves, take better care of their children. How do you incorporate taking better care of yourself nutritionally while maybe employing some of that just for the children and the family overall?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the biggest thing in our house is the kids eat exactly what the adults eat. We're all eating whole, organic, non-GMO foods as much as possible. Like, I know that's a broad statement, but part of the benefit of having the podcast is I've had a lot of doctors on the show, a lot of authors, and Dr. Gundry was one of my favorites because he talked about how detrimental GMO and traditionally grown foods are to our children because they're sprayed with glyphosate.
Right.
So not only are you changing the genetic material of the food, but then you're also spraying what is essentially an antibiotic on the crops. And so you're eating that and destroying your gut biome, which is why, we have so many health issues with kids today, so it's
huge.
I think people want to overcomplicate it and be like, well, we should be eating this and not this. And is this good? This is marketed as healthy. Again, if you see something that's heavily processed in a box, whether it says it's healthy or not, don't believe the hype. Go to the outside of your grocery store and get those organic fruits and vegetables. They're not that much more expensive than the regular, especially these days with inflation. So you might as well get the good stuff, because you're going to benefit. You pay now or you pay later through medical bills.
Huge. And, I totally agree that it's the context and it's, what we've kind of fallen into that trap, the easy kind of mentality and the cost mentality, but it's also the quantity, when you consider what you should eat and the caloric intake. I'm not trying to tell people to count calories and stuff, but we in America especially, we way over consume and we can do so much more with so much less. And that has an impact on your grocery bill too, so it's, if you're looking at it from just a financial thing, you kind of get in trouble because you think you have to have so much to be able to get through the day.
And if you're hungry, after 3 hours or almost immediately, that the food that you just ate is actually taking from you rather than nurturing. I mean, I know all of this, but I mean, for those listening, like you want to eat so that you're not hungry for at least 4 hours. So find foods that feed you in that way.
Yeah. And fasting and intermittent fasting and those kind of things actually are very very important tools to incorporate, and taking it down the road in a way that works for each individual. It's not a one size fits all, but the general concept works for everybody. It's just finding your sweet spot in those different opportunities. So I think another one of the challenges that moms always have, and I know you've shared this before in a little bit of preparation that I've listened to some of your podcasts and interviews, time. How do I have time to exercise? How do I have time to do this nutrition thing? How do I have time? We touched on it a little bit, first thing in the morning. Well, wait, I have to get up right away. But yeah, so talk about the time. How do you manage time well from the waking moments to the try to get back to bed moment?
I think one of the most revolutionary moments of my life was when I started looking at time as an illusion, right? And how we talk about time in our own heads. Oh, I don't have enough time. When you say that again and again and again, that does become your reality. Like I have been literally trying to get ready for an interview. Kids are off at school. I'm trying to get everything together, prep, do all this stuff. And I just in that moment say, I have plenty of time. I have all the time that I need. And I don't know what happens, but somehow, some way, I have plenty of time. Now, I'm not saying, of course, you've got stuff to do, but think about how you truly spend your time. How much did you spend on social media or watching TV or just laying on the couch and not doing anything? And I'm not saying that those moments of repose aren't important. They are.
Right.
But when we say we don't have time, is that really true?
Mm-hmm.
How are we spending our time? We all are on a 24-hour day. Okay, so then break it down. How are you really spending it? You come home from work. What are you doing in those couple hours? If you don't have time in the morning, what are you really doing? What's going into that time? And then snatching, I call it stealing time for yourself, paying yourself first is going to create more time and more opportunities for growth and expansion. If you're not feeling the motivation to do that, that's okay. But then you might get to a point in your life where you're not happy and you're wondering why. And you can come back to this conversation or, just to your own higher self, your own inner knowing that, man, if I took more time for myself, life could be different.
Totally. And I think, the idea is I try to share this with patients, is to try to live life in light of what your strategies are, if that makes sense. So for me as a chiropractor, it's, hey, have postural considerations in everything you do, exactly. And so it becomes less of I have to go to the gym to accomplish that, because ultimately you are exercising every moment of every day.
Absolutely.
And if you don't like the gym, just do your life better. How do I pick up my baby, for example? Do I pick them up with good gym weightlifting technique, or do I pick them up just randomly? And I do this. How many times do you pick up a baby? Over and over. How many times do I lean over into a crib? Those kind of things. Mm-hmm. So time management, I like what you're saying, is you kind of have to just kind of get rid of that little voice that says I don't have the time, and say, how do I maximize my time? And, as I go through the day with my children. Does that make any sense? Or is that some
100%? No, finding those little pockets of time that surprise you, or you normally be just sitting down scrolling on your phone, because that's such a great way to escape. But what if you don't try to escape what's going on in your own mind? What if you don't try to escape uncomfortable feelings? And what if you just maybe sit there instead, put your phone away and sit and breathe and focus on your beating heart, tune in to the actual feeling and rhythm of your own breath? I mean, you'll start to fall in love with yourself. It happens quickly, because it's my belief that inside all of us is this little inner child that has been dying for attention from us for so long, and we try to buy our way out of it. We try to distract our way out of it, and it's almost like we've been indoctrinated since we were little kids, programmed to be this way, to not tune into our own intelligence and our own inner connectedness to God, to source, to each other. But when you start to just do it, and it comes on pretty quickly, wow, my connection to my ancestors and to God or if you don't believe in God, to source or the universe, to nature, it's just life-changing. And you find that you're just calmer. Your intuition can tell you to do things or not do things way faster and way more intimately than you would ever imagine. At least that's been my experience.
That's awesome. And, basically trying to keep your body a little bit in the parasympathetic mode rather than the sympathetic
Yeah.
mode of being, just boy, moms have got to be on all the time, kind of a deal. And so, that does get kind of to be a challenge. So there's some other things that I know that you have available too. You have some products that you carry that help with just managing stress and time and all those types of things. What are some of the products that you carry and recommend?
So in 2018, I started a CBD line when it wasn't so inundated in society, but it was still new then. But it's still something that I use every single day because I don't know how much your audience knows about cannabis and the endocannabinoid system, but it's something that our bodies recognize and actively actually produce. We have our own endocannabinoid system. So we produce cannabinoids that help restore and keep us in that parasympathetic state, that rest and restore and keep us healthy. Like any other supplement, if you don't produce enough, you can take CBD. We have capsules and tinctures and balms and things like that to help you feel your best, to get that good night's sleep that you need so that you can wake up and be, the best mom you can be.
That's awesome. And that's such an important thing. Yeah, we've had a couple of guests talk about the endocannabinoid system, and I'm still on the learning curve. I think it's one of the best opportunities people have, anything plant-based, going back to what you're sharing, if it's as close to nature as possible without glyphosate and all the other things, it's probably going to be good for you. There's just historically, when you think about homeopaths and naturopaths and people that have used plant medicine for the millennia, and pharmaceuticals have their place, but I think we've imbalanced them way too much.
Yeah. And it's like, if you look at the history of why that is, like, it's understandable. You look at Rockefeller and how we took over the medical schools. It's like, oh, that's why we lean towards pharmaceuticals. That's why in America, we have a pharmaceutical commercial on every newscast. I mean, that's not normal, but I understand why that exists. So if you look at the history, you will too.
Yeah, the Rockefeller scenario is kind of scary because they tried to squash out everything, the really good natural things that people were benefiting from. And the profit margins from, plant-based or ozone or ultraviolet blood irradiation aren't as big for, the profits and the shareholders. And so there is that negative there, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's important, like, especially as mothers, that's the biggest thing I want to hit home is being aware of these realities enables you to choose something else for you and your family, if it comes to that, so that you're not relying on someone else to push you through a system that doesn't suit what you really need and what's best for you. Like, just have the knowledge and to be okay with, okay, well, I'm fully educated and then I can make the best choice for me and my family.
So that's a great point. And how about a couple more, that you would just say as kind of a summary of, in the years that you've been experiencing motherhood and doing the podcast and interacting, what are another couple of take-home points that you would share?
I think the biggest thing, from doing the show over the years and just talking to so many guests and talking to moms who listen to the show is probably mom guilt, is probably lack of time, feeling like you have a lack of time to really nurture yourself, and just the actual getting it done. But what I want to just tell people is that it's a journey, like every single day you wake up and you make a choice, am I going to have a good day or am I going to be stressed out and just struggling through this day? Because ultimately it's up to me how I want to experience this matrix, I am the avatar in this life. I can really do whatever I want to do. I don't want to end up in prison, but I can wake up and I can wake up a little early and I can say, you know what, today I want my avatar to be more grounded, to be more present, to get everything that's been weighing on me out on the page, to do a little meditation, prayer, and then start my day and to send my kids off to school, knowing that I love them and that I'm here for them. That's what I want to do today, and I don't want to feel stressed. I don't want to feel like I'm being harassed by my boss because I didn't get this project in, that's not going to fly with me. And the more we move into our power, the more others react to how we're moving through the world. And it's really that simple.
Awesome. So how are a couple of ways that people can follow up with you and some of the things that you're doing?
Yeah. So my website is Motherhood Unstressed, and Instagram. That's the best way to find me and connect with me. And I would love to hear from you.
And I think on your website, you've got a few different sources there, right? As far as I saw some different links for different people that are sharing some good blog kind of posts, that type of thing.
Yeah. So on my Instagram, there's like a link tree, which leads to my TEDx talk, to the website, to the podcast, everything that you would have fun exploring if that's what you're into.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, it's really a blessing to have you here today. I know that for those that are listening, they're going to be blessed by this information as well. So I'm very thankful to have you on today, Liz, and the work that you've done and how you're sharing with others and getting that information out. It's really great.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ernst. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. And I hope everybody has a great day. And moms, we love you. We're there for you. And Liz has got great information for you. So have a great day.
Yeah, make it a great day. It's your choice.
Awesome.